What is the most shocking thing you discovered about a close friend? I found out a friend I'd known for a decade was actually a classically trained opera singer. We always went to karaoke, and she'd just sing pop songs badly for a laugh. One night, she actually tried, and my jaw hit the floor. She just didn't want it to be her thing in our group. My husband's friend, but he stalked his ex to the point she got a vote against him. We did not know about this at all. He later broke into her house, hid in the garage, beat her until he thought she was dead, and then left. She thankfully was not dead, but it was pretty bad. Last we heard, he got multiple years in jail. Never spoke to him again after that. I worked with a coworker named Richie at a factory. We became close and would joke around a lot. About a month later, I found out that back in 2019, he had dismembered his ex-girlfriend after she overdosed while they were high. He only served 2 years in prison for it. I had this friend I've known for years. Chill and always the life of the party. One day, completely out of nowhere, I found out they were secretly taking online courses to become a pilot. Like full-on pilot training. And they hadn't told anyone, not a single soul. A friend of mine I've known for 6 years has 3 justified homicides under his belt he got in a 5-year period from his time as a nightclub bouncer in Las Vegas in his 20s. He had a second family in another state. Successfully hid it for about 18 months. Me and another friend were the first to figure it out. I found out that one of my friends had been struggling with alcohol and couldn't stop until she faced some serious challenges. That turning point pushed her to change her life for the better. She was fired from her teaching job her first year for flirting with students. She had their phone numbers too and would text them. Then she was fired from a gas station job for stealing. Class act lady who now works for the DHS. How? Oh. A close friend was dating a murderer. One of my best friends in high school was dating a guy, also a friend, but not close. He killed his parents with a machete over the weekend and came to school Monday like nothing was out of the ordinary. My ex raped and murdered his 53, a landlady. I believe she was a stand-in for his mom who was very emotionally abusive. He's serving a 36-year sentence. I can't say I was super surprised about it. He abused and stalked me. I was best man for a very close childhood friend. Night before the wedding, he asked if I would fuck him. Absolutely stunned. I managed to fumble through the best man speech. We all got drunk and went our separate ways. He never spoke to me again. Far as I know, they stayed married for 10 years, had 3 kids. Then he disappeared one night with just a shirt on his back. I hope he's doing all right. Think it goes without saying that we are no longer friends. When he worked in an ICU, a female patient accused him of sexually assaulting her. No one believed her. Not enough evidence. He literally admitted it to me. Later, I discovered that when he was 34, he slept with a minor while working as a nurse in her family's home. 2 years later, he's dating an 18-year-old, and now he works at a pediatric dental clinic. Around kids, I reported him for everything I knew about. Nothing happened. I can't even explain the rage and disgust I feel. Some people really just face 0 consequences, and it's infuriating. Feel free to help. My former best friend confessed to me one night over a round of drinks that he'd raped a young girl, along with other members of the gang he'd once been a part of. I knew he'd been in a gang in the past, but excused it as him just doing what he had to in order to survive our rough hometown. I didn't know that rape was the reason why he'd spent time in juvie. The second he left my apartment, I blocked him on all social media and never spoke to him again. We were friends in college 5 years before. Mind you, we are not close. At the time of this, she confessed to me in a crowded restaurant she and her brother had been in a sexual relationship with each other since they were children into their teens. Deserve an award for my poker face. She wouldn't tell me when secretly recorded sex tapes of me were sent around. She just looked me dead ass in the eyes and didn't say anything and made fun of me with other friends. She ended our friendship of 8 years when I had the worst time ever because of this. Had a friend who confessed her love for me. The thing is, I know she suffered from years of physical abuse and maybe worse from her mother, not sure if there were others. Her coping mechanisms was extreme sexuality, and it wasn't that I was dumb and didn't notice her come-ins. It was because every guy she knew fell for it, and she struggled with having close friends, and I knew I could be a close friend who knew her story and could be there for her. I understand being a random guy meeting her and falling head over heels for her, but it bothered me to see friends we knew constantly falling for it, instead of helping her while she was severely suffering from trauma. I had known him for 2 years, and he had never once mentioned his dad. I had met his mom and her boyfriend, and I just figured that his dad wasn't in his life, be it through death, divorce, or walking out on them. I assumed it was a sensitive subject as well. One day, in the middle of a conversation, he casually says something about his gay dad. I'm like, hold up. Your dad? What dad? Who's gay? Turns out, his mom was getting older and wanted a kid so bad that she asked her gay best friend to donate his sperm to her. Crazy fucking origin story, and he had never once brought it up. He just forgot to. I don't know if I'd say close friend, but favorite person at work? Found out his oldest daughter left the family and cut them out of her life, and they have no idea why, but seemed so unperturbed by it. Discovering that my best friend for over 15 years removed me from his wedding party and never bothered to tell me. I only found out after asking about the rehearsal dinner weeks before the wedding. Whole situation was weird, and additionally, his wife's best friend, who was supposed to be the maid of honor, didn't even attend the wedding. Did they mutually forego their best friends for the sake of their parents paying for the wedding? IDK whole thing doesn't make sense to me, but in summary, realizing that my close friend was a snake. My friend had a friend who got arrested for sexually texting minors. He was a swim coach, and the messages turned sexual. Started asking for nudes and sex and all this stuff. He got busted, and my friend defended him, saying, well, it's not like he actually had sex with them or touched them. I was shocked that he said that. His friend got off easy, and my friend wanted me to meet his friend again. I said no, absolutely not. I met his friend once or twice before this all happened, and he seemed like a chill dude. I mean, you can't tell red flags based off 2 meets tops, but there was no, oh, this guy has some weird vibes on him type of thing. My friend still hung around this guy, and then me and my friend had a big falling out a few years later, and I've never talked to him again. This had been bothering me for years. Glad I get to say it here, even if nobody will see it. Anyway, after I left my hometown, I learned from my friends that my best friend, I'll call him Sam, joined the military. Nothing surprising, but apparently before he did, he stalked a 14-year-old girl on TikTok and tried to meet up with her after playing as a 16-year-old boy as a 20-year-old man. Apparently, Sam been going after young girls since he was 16. And by that time, I was hanging out with him and doing stupid stuff like stealing sweets and going out past our curfew. I'm disgusted that I hung out with a predator without realizing. I don't talk to him anymore after the news came out and he admitted it to me. One of my friends is in the same unit by coincidence and told me he might get suspended or something for something unrelated. It had just been bothering me, glad I can admit to random strangers on the internet. I kicked out my close friends' roommates, a couple, and broke our lease because they were really nasty to me in the days after my brother's death. Accused me of animal abuse because I had to go out of town the night of the funeral and wasn't home to feed my cats. Years later, I found a Kiwi Farms thread about one of them. Turns out in the time since I'd last seen them, they started role-playing as siblings and wearing diapers, publicly posting shit on Twitter, like I made a mess in my pamper and my sister isn't here to change me, and I don't know how to do it myself. That all her teasing and jokes of, I wish I could find someone that was just like you to marry, and I asked you to marry me first and even got you a ring, and you're so sexy, was actually confessions of her love and lust for me. I do consider her one of my best friends, but I'm not into vaginas. And she doesn't have a penis. My husband pointed it out to me. My best friend of nearly 20 years told me last year that while we were in school and later university, we remained friends even though in different universities. She would completely drop off the face of earth and I would be mad. She was struggling because her brother was in and out of rehabs. I knew her mom had cancer and she was going to hospitals, knew this much later as well. But her brother being an addict was a shock. Someone I have known for 2 decades. To this date, only me and her husband know of this. Nobody else knows. I apologized for being an angry teenager and confessed I probably wouldn't have known how to react back then. But maybe she could have shared so she didn't have to shoulder the burden all those years. I wish I had known I would have been better. Not a bitter teenager that I was for my friend blowing me off. I felt terrible. He downloaded literally tens of thousands of movies, TV shows, and media to his hard drives. And among those downloads were highly explicit and illegal materials to own and distribute that were under the same names of the programs he was searching for. He was imprisoned and registered as a sex offender. That was more than 25 years ago, and I haven't heard from him since. That she had a middle-born child I didn't know existed. She told me the courts removed the child from her and the father was given full custody because the father is an arsehole. The courts do not take a child from their parent for such reasons. She is an alcoholic who smoked and drank through her most recent pregnancy. Her toddler is likely going to be taken from her too. The hospital she had her toddler in desperately tried to get her to give the kid up for adoption, but she refused. 2 weeks after he was born, she wanted to bring the kid to an incredibly cramped over 18s venue, which was having a bunch of very loud heavy metal bands play. I lied to her and told her the gig was sold out because I couldn't let her do that to a newborn. After the child was born, her eldest child disowned her, and she's calling that child a selfish butch because of it. My friend is a fun person to go out and party with, but it's not what a single mother of a toddler should be doing. And I definitely don't want to encourage such behavior, so I've been keeping my distance. The main reason I'm actually still in contact with her at all is purely due to concern for her toddler. Someone who's not a completely selfish train wreck of a person needs to keep an eye out for that kid, and it seems that I'm the only person she knows who is doing that. I am not in a place to look after a kid, but maybe I can get some government organization to step in if she continues down this path of destruction she lives on. Unfortunately, I don't think she'll ever step up and be the parent the kid needs her to be. I, female, worked with my best friend, a gay man. He started being distant suddenly. Found out he showed up to my boyfriend's work and professed his love to him and asked if they could be together. When my BF, now husband, turned him down, best friend spread rumors at our work that my BF approached him wanting to hook up, and what should he do since she's my best friend? Like telling everyone but me? Wasn't suspicious at all of trying to cover his ass. My homegirl was engaged around age 18-19, but the guy's parents split them up because they wanted him to marry within his ethnicity. They sent him back to his home country to straighten him out, and she never heard from him again. One day his family shows up at her door asking where he is, if he's with her, etc. She hadn't spoken to him for like a year at this point. Apparently, he disappeared from the relative's house in home country. They later found out he crossed a few borders, joined ISIS, and was swiftly killed in a strike on one of the training camps. That the entire friendship was a lie. Everything I said in sworn secrecy was thrown in my face by her fucking BF. She told him every little detail. Some of it I nearly begged her to keep between us. My best friend completely abandoned me when I begged her for help. It still cuts deep 12 years later. I found out my best friend had been quietly living a completely different life. We met in college. Same major, same caffeine addiction, same habit of sitting on the floor during parties to pet the host's dog. He was the safest person I knew, predictable, soft-spoken, the guy who reminded you to drink water. One night, years later, we were cleaning out his apartment because he was moving across the country. Just cardboard boxes, dust, and nostalgia. I opened a closet that had always been locked because it jams. It didn't jam. Inside were meticulously labeled binders, not school notes, not work stuff. Detailed documentation, dates, locations, screenshots, burner phone logs, pages and pages of online identities, different names, different accents, different lives. Turns out my best friend spent his free time infiltrating online scam groups and extremist forums, pretending to be one of them, gathering evidence, and anonymously tipping off journalists and nonprofits. For years, no money, no recognition, just obsession-level commitment. I asked him why he never told anyone. He shrugged and said, if people know, it stops working. And if it stops working, I'll feel useless. That part stuck with me. The most shocking thing wasn't that he was doing something dangerous or morally complicated. It was realizing that the person I thought was passive and harmless was actually carrying the weight of dozens of awful conversations, threats, and identities. Then showing up the next day to help me move a couch and ask how my mom was doing. I helped him box the binders back up. We didn't talk about it again. He texts me memes now, sends birthday reminders, still tells me to drink water. Sometimes I wonder how many people are quietly holding entire worlds you'll never see, and how wrong we are when we think we really know someone. I found out that a friend I'd had for over 40 years died in October. I had not heard from him in 10 years. He lived in another state, and we had served in the military together. When I knew him then, he was divorced and lived alone. We hung around as buds and camped and fished. Just real close friends. His obituary blew me away. It said he had 3 kids and 5 grandchildren and another wife than the one I knew. I never knew that, and it made no sense at all. He had pretended to be someone he was not all the years that I knew him or the funeral home, mixed up on their facts. A week ago, we had our first argument, big misunderstanding. This is after 3 years of daily conversation. She went completely silent. Even after my attempts at repair, her coping style is withdrawal and is completely incompatible with how I deal with things. I never expected her to react like this. Never expected her to just completely cut me off. It's like she is a whole different person now. I knew this dude that always said when he was younger his motto was ride fast, die young, and leave a good-looking corpse. He was part of a motorcycle club back then, a big one. I didn't know which one until I saw a YouTube video of his mugshot talking about how much prison time he got and what he'd done. I hope you enjoyed this stories. If you liked it, you can subscribe and give a like. Until the next video.